showed you the easy laughter, the parts that wouldn't shake. I kept the heavier corners hidden for your sake. You knew my surface habits, my calm, my smile, my days. But there were rooms inside me you never chose to stay. I waited for your hands to reach beyond what felt okay, but you stayed where love felt lighter and turned away. These are the parts of me you never held, the fears I didn't say, the nights I carried questions while you looked away. I needed arms around my truth, not comfort when I'm strong. The parts of me you never held are where I learned I don't belong. I learned how not to overwhelm you, how to stay composed. I softened every real emotion so nothing overflowed. You liked me best when I was easy, when nothing asked for more. I felt myself go quiet at the places love should explore. I thought patience meant protection, that love moved slow and kind. I didn't know how often I was leaving me behind. These are the parts of me you never held. When I needed you close, I was offering my whole heart, you were offering almost. I asked for depth, I asked for care. You stayed where you felt safe. The parts of me you never held are the ones you couldn't face. Don't say you loved all of me when you never came inside. You avoided my vulnerability and called it being kind. You don't get credit for the surface when depth was left alone. I needed someone brave enough to hold me whole. These are the parts of me you never held, but I hold them now. I won't hide my tenderness or teach it how. You lost someone who loved you real, I found my truth instead. The parts of me you never held are where my healing begins. I don't break myself smaller to fit inside your hands. The parts of me you never held, now understand. You loved me when I stayed late, when nothing asked too much. You reached for me in easy moments, pulled back from deeper touch. I learned which moods were welcome, which truths to keep inside. I felt your care narrow down every time I tried. I told myself this is normal, that love comes and goes, but my heart felt chosen only when it was convenient for you. Your love felt selective, like I had to qualify. I was showing up completely, you were stayed when I stayed, agreeable when I didn't ask or lean. You liked me best when I needed less. When I stayed in between, I edited my emotions so you wouldn't turn away. I called it being understanding while losing parts of me. I confuse being chosen sometimes with being loved at all. I didn't see how often I was bracing for the fall. Your love felt selective in time and tone and care. I was waiting to be met. You were halfway there. I asked for presence, asked for truth. You gave me rules instead. Your love felt selective, and my heart felt misread. Don't say you loved me deeply if depth scared you away. You offered warmth in pieces, then call that staying. You don't get credit for affection that disappears when it's real. Love shouldn't make you question what you're allowed to feel. Your love felt selective, but my worth is not. I won't audition for closeness or accept what's hot and cold. You lost someone who loved you whole. I found my truth instead. Your love felt selective, so I chose myself again. I don't need love that filters me or chooses when to stay. Your love felt selective. Now walk away. We stayed in the same places, said the same familiar lines. Nothing moved around us, but something slipped inside. We didn't fight or shatter, didn't fall apart out loud. We just stopped moving closer and called it calm. I thought staying meant commitment, stillness meant we were safe. I didn't see how slowly we were drifting away. We drifted while standing still, day after day. I was waiting for direction, you were letting time decide our fate. I needed movement, needed truth, not comfort frozen in place. We drifted while standing still, and love lost its shape. You stayed kind, stayed present, but never leaned in more. I felt the distance growing in what you didn't ask for. I learned how to stop expecting anything to change. I kept calling it patience while feeling it strange. I waited for something real to finally shift the ground, but silence doesn't move, it just lets things run down. We drifted while standing still, while nothing looked wrong. I was holding on to effort, you were already gone. I asked for presence, asked for care, you gave me time. not to step forward. I chose not to accuse. You don't get credit for staying here when movement never came. Love doesn't survive stillness when it's afraid of change. We drifted while standing still, but I won't do that now. I won't wait inside quiet or ask love how you lost someone who stayed aware. I found my ground instead. We drifted while standing still until the end. Learn how to be grateful for whatever you gave. I told myself wanting more was something to outgrow. I stay careful with my needs, like they ask too much. I didn't want to scare you with how deep I felt us. I thought love would notice without me explaining why. I didn't know silence could pass love by. I didn't know how to ask for more without feeling wrong. I was holding back my truth just to keep us strong. I needed effort, needed care, not guessing what you do. I didn't know how to ask for more, so I lived with less from you. I watched you stay comfortable right where you were. I kept adjusting myself so nothing blurred. I learned how to wait politely, how to need in quiet ways. I didn't know wanting depth wasn't something to erase. I confused being easy with being loved. I didn't see how often I gave myself up. I didn't know how to ask for more when more felt unsafe. I kept calling patience love while feeling misplaced. I asked for nothing out loud and wondered why it hurt. I didn't know how to ask for more until it was. Don't say you would have tried if I spoken louder. Then I was already shrinking just to stay within. You don't get credit for comfort built on what I hid. Love shouldn't need permission to be lived. I didn't know how to ask for more, but now I finally do. I won't quiet my wanting just to stay with you. You lost someone who needed depth. I found my voice instead. I didn't know how to choose me too. I couldn't explain it in words, but my body already knew. Every time you held me close, something didn't move. I smiled through the closeness, said everything was fine, but my chest stayed guarded, like it crossed the line. I told myself love lives in thought, that feeling comes and goes, but my body felt the distance before my mind allowed it so. Love felt distant in my body, even when you were near. I was craving something steady, you weren't really here. I needed safety, I could feel, not words that tried to prove. Love felt distant in my body, and it was telling the truth. Noticed how I tensed up when I asked for something real, how my breath stayed shallow when I waited for you to feel. You touched me like a habit, not like you meant to stay. My body learned the difference before my heart could say. Make me feel at home, but my body stayed alert, like it was on its own. Love felt distant in my body, like I was bracing all the time. I was leaning into closeness, you were keeping your line. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave me space to doubt. Love felt distant in my body, and I couldn't block it out. Don't say I imagined it, my body doesn't lie. It held the tension every time. You chose not to try. You don't get credit for being near when safety never grew. Love isn't love if my body has to brace for you. Love felt distant in my body, so I listened at last. I won't stay where my nervous system lives in the past. You lost someone who stayed where I found my ground instead. Love felt distant in my body, and now I choose rest. I trust the quiet signals now, I don't override my truth. Love felt distant in my body, so I finally moved. I trust the quiet signals now, I don't override my truth. Love felt distant in my body, so I finally moved. I trust the quiet signals now, I don't override my truth. Love felt distant in my body, so I finally moved. I trust the quiet signals now, I don't override my truth. Love felt distant in my body, so I finally moved. I chose my words with care, left nothing sharp or loud. I spoke from where it hurt, hoping you're leaning now. You nodded at the easy parts, the pieces that felt safe. But when I reached for something real, you looked away. I kept explaining slower, trying not to overwhelm. But listening isn't hearing if it stops before the end. You heard me halfway, then filled in the rest. I was opening my whole heart. You stopped at what felt best. I needed to be understood, not managed or reduced. You heard me halfway, and I felt myself lose. I watched you take the parts that didn't ask you to change. You agreed with my feelings until they got in your way. I learned how to pause mid-thought so you wouldn't pull back. I carried the unsaid endings and called it tax. I thought if I stayed calmer, you'd finally stay. But understanding doesn't grow when attention fades. You heard me halfway. Every time I tried, I was offering clarity. You were choosing the side that didn't challenge comfort or ask you to move. You heard me halfway, and that was the truth. Stop when it got real. You heard enough to feel informed, not enough to feel. You don't get credit for empathy, that ends where effort begins. I wasn't asking to be fixed, I was asking you to lean in. You heard me halfway, so I stopped explaining. I won't beg for understanding or soften what I'm saying. You lost someone who spoke with care. I found my voice instead. You heard me halfway, now I've heard myself to the end. I don't repeat my truth anymore, just to be believed. You heard me halfway, now I listen to me. I learned to take up less space, lower my voice, my knees. I edited my reaction so you'd stay comfortable with me. I smiled through unfinished feelings, said I was fine instead. I made myself easier to love by being less. I thought shrinking meant maturity, the calm meant I was strong. I didn't see how often I was disappearing all alone. I learned to minimize myself so you wouldn't pull away. I kept my wants in the background, let yours lead the way. I needed room to exist fully, not love that asked me to hide. I learned to minimize myself, and it cost me my pride. I watched you relax when I asked for less, when I didn't lean too close. You liked me best when I stayed small, when I needed first I measured every feeling before I let it out. I thought love meant adjusting until there was no doubt. I confused being agreeable with being truly seen. I didn't know how lonely being easy could be. I learned to minimize myself in words and time and truth. I was making space for you. You were making space for me too. I asked for presence, asked for care. You asked me to be fine. I learned to minimize myself, crossing my own line. Don't say you never noticed, my quiet was the sign. I was constantly reducing just to stay in your life. You don't get credited for comfort built on my restraint. Love shouldn't ask a heart to vanish to remain. I learned to minimize myself, but I won't do that now. I won't fold my truth smaller or soften every sound. You lost someone who loved you real. I found my voice instead. I learned to minimize myself. This is where that ends. I don't apologize for wanting or needing to be seen. I learned to minimize myself. Now I live as me. We knew how to sit in silence, like it meant we were okay. We filled the hours gently, let the harder parts wait. You reached when things were simple, pulled back when it got real. I felt myself stay surface level just to keep what we had still. I thought calm and connection, that peace meant we were strong. I didn't see how empty comfort could feel this long. We shared comfort, not depths, not the things that hold you close. I was asking for real presence, you were giving almost. I needed truth that stays with me, not ease that fades with time. We shared comfort, not death, and it crossed a line. Me best when I was easy, when nothing asked you to change. I learned how to keep things steady by keeping feelings contained. We laughed, we stayed polite, never pushed, never fell. I felt the space between us grow, where honesty should dwell. I confused feeling safe with being fully known. I didn't know how lonely comfort feels alone. We shared comfort, not depth. I felt it every day. I was leaning into meaning, you were keeping it light and safe. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave shared comfort, not depths, and I quietly bled. Don't say this was love enough when depth was never tried. You chose ease over courage, and I stayed by your side. You don't get credit for staying near when growth was always left. Love can't live on comfort alone. It needs depth. We shared comfort, not dead, but I won't do that now. I won't trade my whole heart for something worn down. You lost someone who wanted real. I found my truth instead. We shared comfort, not death, and that's where it ends. I don't hate the calm we had or the safety it kept. We shared comfort, not death. Now I choose depth. Some days you were all the way here, hand steady, voice warm. Other days I felt alone before the night was gone. I never knew which version was waiting on the shore. I learned how not to lean too hard in case you pulled back more. I told myself this was normal, that love just ebbs and flows, but my heart was always bracing for when it would go. Your care arrived in waves, then left me standing still. I was loving you consistently. You loved me when it fit. I needed something steady, not affection that retreats. Your care arrived in waves, and it weakened me. You showed up when it felt right, when nothing asked too much. You disappeared in quiet ways when I needed your touch. I stopped asking where you went or when you'd return. I learned how to expect less so it wouldn't hurt. I confused inconsistency for something deep and real, but love shouldn't feel like weather I have to feel. Your care arrived in waves and crashed without a sound. I was building something solid. You were coming in and out. I asked for presence, asked for truth. You gave me time and space. Your care arrived in waves, and I lost my place. Don't say this is just how you love when it left me unsure. You chose when to show up, I absorbed the pull. You don't get credit for returning after letting me fall. Love isn't love in pieces at all. don't stand inside uncertainty, waiting to be found. You lost someone who stays steady. I found my truth instead. Your care arrived in waves, and this is where it ends. What comes and goes, or love that can't remain. Your care arrived in waves. Now I choose calm again. I started counting little things. Your tone, the time, the space. I read between your poses, watched your face. I used to feel love naturally. Now I tracked it day by day. Like if I miss one signal, it might slip away. I told myself this was awareness, that I was just being wise. But love shouldn't feel like something you have to supervise. Love became something I monitored, measured, checked, reviewed. I was managing the closeness while losing something true. I needed ease, I needed trust, not tension I defend. Love became something I monitored, and that's where it began to end. And that's where it began to end. Noticed how I stopped relaxing. Even when you were near, my body stayed on standby, braced for what might disappear. I kept adjusting my expectations, so nothing felt too much. I thought love meant being careful with how hard you touch. I confused intuition with staying on guard, but love shouldn't make your heart work this hard. Love became something I monitored, like I had to keep it alive. I was checking for reassurance, you were just passing by. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave me space to guess. Love became something I monitored, and it left me stressed. Don't say this was just my fear, or something in my head. My nervous system learned the pattern from what you never said. You don't get credit for calm when I was always alert. Love shouldn't feel like surveillance or constant hurt. Love became something I monitored, so I stopped and listened in. I chose the quiet in my chest over proving it again. You lost someone who stayed aware. I found my ground instead. Love became something I monitored. Now I choose rest. I don't track love anymore. or wait for it to fall. Love became something I monitor. Now I let it go. I stay longer than I should, not because I felt secure, but because I didn't want to be the one who hurt. You look fragile in your calm, like leaving would undo. I kept carrying my truth so I wouldn't bruise you. I thought love meant protecting, even when it cost me too. I didn't know how often I was choosing you. I stayed because leaving felt cruel, not because I felt okay. I was swallowing my own pain, so you wouldn't have to feel the change. I needed honesty, needed it, not kindness that erased my will. I stayed because leaving felt cruel, and it nearly broke me still. Myself grow quieter every time I almost spoke. I learned how to delay my truth until it felt remote. You leaned on my consistency while mine began to bend. I kept calling it compassion while reaching my own end. I confused guilt with love and endurance with being kind. I didn't know self-betrayal could look like this. I stayed because leaving felt cruel, while staying felt wrong. I was holding us together, you were moving on. I asked for presence, asked for care. You asked me just to stay. I stayed because leaving felt cruel, and I paid for it each day. Love shouldn't punish empathy or keep you bound. I stayed because leaving felt cruel, but now I choose what's true. I won't keep hurting myself just to be gentle with you. You lost someone who stayed too long. I found my strength instead. I stayed because leaving felt cruel. Now I leave with respect. I don't regret my tenderness or the care I showed. I stayed because leaving felt cruel. Ooh, now I finally go. Kept it light on purpose, smiled through what felt heavy. We talked around the feeling, so nothing tipped us over. I felt the truth sit waiting in the middle of the room. We chose comfort over courage and called it getting through. finally slow down, but we kept lifting the edges so nothing hit the ground. We avoided the real way, like it would pull us apart. I was ready to feel it. You kept guarding your heart. I needed honesty with gravity, not calm that floats away. We avoided the real way, and that's where love gave way. You stayed close without committing, careful not to lean. I learned how to hold my question, so nothing turned unseen. We shared time and easy laughter, but Skip would ask for more. I felt the weight building quietly outside the door. The real way, every time it appeared, I was reaching for truth. You were disappearing. I asked for depth, asked for care. You asked me just to stay. We avoided the real way until it carried us away. Don't say it was too much when we never tried. You chose ease over effort, I chose staying kind. You don't get credit for balance built on what we hid. Love can't survive avoidance, it needs way to live. We avoided the real way, but I won't do that now. I won't carry love lightly just to show you how. You lost someone who wanted read. I found my ground instead. We avoided the real way until the end. I don't feel the heaviness or truth that asked me to stay. We avoided the real way, and I want hell way. I felt it long before you changed in how you held the room. Your warmth stopped reaching me like it used to. You smelled the same, spoke carefully, nothing you could defend. But my body recognized how this would end. I told myself not to assume, not to name the truth. But distance doesn't shock you when you felt the clues. Your distance didn't surprise me, it just confirmed my fear. I was already standing alone while you were still right here. I needed honesty, emotion, not silence, just as time. Your distance didn't surprise me, it just hurt that it was mine. I noticed how I stopped relaxing when you came close. I learned how to stay prepared for when you go. You stay polite, stay reachable, but never fully in. I felt the ending forming under my skin. I waited for something sudden, a moment I could name. But distance doesn't need drama to explain. Your distance didn't surprise me. I've been bracing for a while. I was loving with intention, you were fading with a smile. I just wish you'd said it out loud. Don't say you didn't know how far you let me stand. You felt the ease of pulling back and never reached your hand. You don't get credit for being kind when absence was the plan. I recognize the leaving before distance didn't surprise me, so I stopped waiting too. I won't stay inside slow goodbyes or keep reaching for you. You lost someone who stayed aware. I found my ground instead. Your distance didn't surprise me. That's where it ends. I trust what I know. What my body tried to say. Your distance didn't surprise me, so I walked away. I showed up with open hands, nothing hidden, nothing spared. I walked toward what I felt. You stayed where you were. I kept moving closer, hoping you would too. But every step I took alone taught me something new. I thought love would rise to meet me when I finally stood still. But wanting something honest was asking more than you would give. Love didn't meet me there where I stood in truth. I was ready for something real. You were halfway through. I needed presence, not intention, not almost, not repair. Love didn't meet me there, and I felt it everywhere. How I slowed my pace so you wouldn't fall behind. I called it patience, called it care, while leaving myself aside. You stayed close enough to touch, but never fully in. I kept hoping effort would appear if I just leaned in. I confused waiting with believing that love arrives on time. But love doesn't miss the moment stop reaching out. I won't wait inside of silence or keep asking how you lost someone who showed up whole. I found my ground instead. Love didn't meet me there, and that's where it the way I tried, or how openly I cared. Love didn't meet me there. Now I meet myself there. I noticed it in small decisions, in the plans you made alone. I learned where I fit in your life, somewhere after your own. You didn't mean to forget me, you just didn't pause to see how often I was adjusting, so things stayed easy. I told myself not to overthink, that love doesn't keep score, but being loved shouldn't feel like being overlooked. I miss feeling considered before choices were made. I was always an afterthought in the life you arranged. I needed care that remembered me without me asking twice. I miss feeling considered, and it cost me inside. You chose what felt convenient, what worked best for your day. I learned how to stay flexible so I wouldn't be in the way. I noticed how my needs arrived only after yours were done. I stayed quiet and cooperative, calling it love. I confused being understanding with being unseen. I didn't know how heavy this space could be. I miss feeling considered in your words, in your time. I was always fitting myself into what you designed. I asked for presence, asked for care, you gave me space instead. I miss feeling considered and slowly disappeared. Don't say you cared about me if I had to remind you I was there. Love doesn't overlook someone and still call it fair. You don't get credit for kindness that forgets me in the end. I wasn't asking for perfection, just to be held in your plans. I miss feeling considered, but I won't beg again. I won't shrink my expectations just to stay close to you then. You lost someone who stayed where I found my ground instead. I miss feeling considered. Now I choose myself instead. We knew each other's habits, the order of our days. We stopped asking real questions and let routine stay. I noticed how we moved on autopilot, like love would run itself. I kept waiting forever. You leaned on what was left. I thought knowing you so well meant we were still aligned. But familiarity doesn't choose you, it just passes time. We let familiarity replace intention and called it being okay. I was reaching for connection, you were letting it fade. I needed love that chose me with purpose, not by default. We let familiarity replace intention, and that's where we got lost. You stayed because it was easy, because leaving felt like work. I stayed because I believed love should still hurt. We laughed in the same old places, slept in the same old way, but nothing was being chosen, it was just replay. I confused comfort with commitment, and knowing you with being known. I didn't see how lonely love gets when it's left on its own. We let familiarity replace intention day after day. I was asking for direction, you were happy to stay the same. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave me habit instead. We let familiarity replace intention, and love quietly bled. Don't say love just settled. This wasn't peace or rest. You stopped choosing me actively, and I felt it in my chest. You don't get credit for staying whenever went numb. Love isn't love by convenience, it's chosen. We let familiarity replace intention, but I won't live like that. I won't be loved out of habit or stay just because we have. You lost some who wanted real, I found my truth instead. We left familiarity replace intention, and this is I didn't raise my voice, didn't list every scar. I packed my truth in silence and left it where you are. I chose not to rewrite history or turn love into blame. I knew the ending was already there, even without the pain. I thought leaving had to hurt someone to finally be real, but sometimes loving's clean when you listen to how you feel. I left without making it ugly, without breaking us down. I didn't need a villain, just needed solid ground. I needed peace more than proving who was right or wrong. I left without making it ugly, and I stayed strong. You stayed calm, almost relieved, like you saw it coming too. I felt how ready you were for something to be through. I didn't ask you to change or chase what was gone. I knew love shouldn't survive by holding on. I stopped asking for closure or words that would explain. Some endings don't need damage to justify the pain. Left without making it ugly, didn't tear the past apart. I honored what was gentle while protecting my heart. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave me space instead. I left without making it ugly and chose myself ahead. Don't confuse my quiet leaving with not feeling up. It takes more courage to walk away without turning love rough. You don't get credit for my grace or how kind I stayed. I left because I felt alone, not because I was afraid. Left without making it ugly, but I left for real. I won't soften my own truth just to keep things sealed. You lost someone who loved with care. I found my ground instead. I left without making it ugly, and this is where it ends. I don't look back for answers or wish it went another way. I left without making it ugly, and that's how I stayed okay. I woke up reaching for the day like I always did before, but something in the timing felt off at the core. I moved through habits we once shared, but none of them fit right. Your absence shifted how I breathe, how I sleep at night. I told myself I'd adjust, the time would smooth it through, but the body keeps the memory of moving next to you. Your absence changed my rhythm, the way my heart keeps time. I was used to moving with you, now I'm learning how to move in mine. I needed steadiness, not silence, not space I had to heal. Your absence changed my rhythm and showed me what I feel. I noticed how my laughter lands a second late or slow. I pause before small decisions, like I'm still waiting for a no. I don't rush the quiet moments or fill them up with noise. I'm learning how to trust myself without another voice. I confuse the loss of us with losing who I am, but change doesn't mean breaking, it means I'm learning again. Your absence changed my rhythm, but it didn't stop my song. I was bending to your timing for longer than I knew all along. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave me space instead. Your absence changed my rhythm and where my strength was led. Don't say I just got used to you, I adapted to survive. I learned how to move around you just to keep love alive. You don't get credit for the silence that taught me how to stand. Losing you rearranged me, but I still am. Your absence changed my rhythm, but now it's mine to keep. I won't rush back into patterns that cost me sleep. You lost someone who stayed in step, I found my pace instead. Your absence changed my rhythm, and this is how I mend. I don't move to please the past or match what used to fit. Your absence changed my rhythm, now I move with it. I've learned how to be careful now, where I place my trust. I don't rush into promises or lean in just because. I felt love that felt demanding, love that asked me to bend. I survived what felt uneven, and I'm still here in the end. I don't mistake intensity for something real or true. I've learned what love should feel like by what it put me through. My heart still wants gentle love, not loud, not hard to keep. disappear when I'm tired or weak. I need care that stays consistent, not passion that burns and runs. My heart still wants gentle love, even after everything done. Or someone who never breaks. I just wanna feel considered in the choices that you make. I've learned how much it matters to feel safe when I fall, to know I'm not too much or invisible at all. I used to quiet my so love would stay near. Now I know gentleness is not something to fear. My heart still wants gentle love that meets me where I stand, not love that needs convincing or slips through my hands. I want honesty without pressure, being easy to break. I stay tender through loss that most hearts couldn't take. I won't fight to be chosen or shrink to feel safe. If love comes to me now, it comes gentle and not at all. My heart still wants gentle, and I chaos or ignore the signs. You don't have to save me, just walk with me slow. My heart still wants gentle love, and now I know I don't close myself to love, I just choose what feels right. My heart still wants gentle love, and I wait for that kind. Gave too much away in pieces, trying to make love last. I stayed longer than I should, holding on to the past. I listened more than I spoke, put my needs aside. I kept choosing understanding while losing who I was inside. I thought love meant sacrifice, even when it hurt. I didn't know how slowly I was leaving myself first. This is me taking myself back from silence and delay, from all the times I stayed quiet just to make you stay. I needed honesty with courage, not love that asked me to bend. This is me taking myself back and choosing who I am. not to ask for more. I made myself smaller just to fit through your door. I mistook calm for safety and patience for care. I didn't see how much of me was disappearing there. I confused being needed with being truly seen. I didn't know how heavy that space between could be. This is me taking myself back from patterns that felt kind. I was loving you consistently, you were loving me sometimes. I asked for presence, asked for truth, you gave me space instead. This is me taking myself back from everything unsaid. Don't say I gave up too soon. I stayed past my own pain. Leaving quietly took more strength than staying the same. You don't get credit for my patience when it cost me my ground. I'm done negotiating my worth just to keep you around. This is me taking myself back without anger or regret. I won't trade my inner voice for love that hasn't met you. Lost someone who stayed aware. I found my truth instead. This is me taking myself back, and this is where it ends. I don't undo the love I gave or wish I felt less. This is me taking myself back and finally choosing myself.